And so can you share, as maybe we kind of wrap up with the shadow, as much as it is part of us
Yes.
and our collective, it also isn't who we are.
Absolutely not. But what's interesting is neither are most of the other things we identify with as too. You know, the
Right.
roles that we've assumed along the way or that we're conditioned into, those are all learned, but they're not who you are.
Yeah.
And that's the profound experience of going to the depths of the unconscious, going through the transition, that void, that nothingness, that loss of all that you thought you were and knew, and then experiencing what's beyond there. I mean, most people go, I don't want to go beyond that because I will never come back. The part that is lost to some degree is the attachment to these limited forms of
Right.
identity and consciousness. So, but you come back, but you are changed
Yeah.
to some degree. And the more often you go into the experience of the being that you are, again, in India they say Satchitananda, radiant, that means full of light, that you are being full of light, expansive, limitless expansive awareness and consciousness, loving, compassion itself. It's like when you start knowing this as your being, it's not personal in that it's not, my being is not different than your being. It's the same being, but it certainly allows me to feel a connection to you that doesn't have judgment or fear in it. It changes our relationship to the world. It moves us out of fear into true connection with all beings, which is what we need right now.
That's right.
In our world.
You know, the place of separation to come back to unity.
Yes.
Wow. Well, good stuff. Like, thank you for sharing. Is there any more that you need to share around the shadow before we move into?
Just, I guess I would say at some level, there are families where there's a huge investment in staying within conventional roles or acceptable roles or being good, or which is fine. There's nothing wrong with having positive or high intentions for your social conduct and values and all that. But given that we have powerful unconscious energy that needs to be faced for our transformation and to becoming more whole, and that's again the journey of initiation in cultures that are more indigenous, that have a much broader view of their connection to the world through the experience of thousands and thousands of years. They've learned that you have to go through initiation.
Right.
And the conscious choice of who you do that with and how you do that is a really good choice. Because if you don't go through that by choice, then typically life will present itself with situations that are much more chaotic and maybe a lot harder to keep any kind of balance through that kind of radical experience of yourself and what's beyond the self that you knew.
Mm-hmm. So in the indigenous cultures, in these places of rites of passage, these initiations, in what you hold the place for with people in beginning this form of righteous passage or the journey towards wholeness, being on the path. There's many different names that people associate doing this
finding
work.
Yourself. There is a convention of us having a path to awakening, a path to self-discovery, a path of healing. Right. Often the path of awakening begins with a path of healing. Right. You know, the people begin that journey usually because there's some level of dissatisfaction in their life, or what is outside of them is just not doing it, or what their experience has too little meaning, and so there's a willingness to start exploring. So some people go in because of a curious mind. Some people, like myself, I went in because I was so wounded from childhood or from adolescence. In order to become a more functional human being, I had to start doing some deep and profound healing work. Then found that I was gifted in it and interested in it, and it's become a lifelong passion. Yeah. So, but I do believe every being has a path that is their calling, meaning that something they came to contribute in the world, a path of learning, like something a path that naturally is the most gracious path for them of learning and growing and becoming more complete or more whole, and a path of awakening ultimately, if they're willing.